Are there ways to improve our security when connecting over untrusted networks such as the internet? The answer is absolutely yes, using the Horizon View Security Server. Let's begin. I'd like you to imagine that Bob, a corporate user, logs on and connects to the connection server and gets access to a VM, and he does that almost every single day. However, what happens when Bob, the user, goes home? And now we have this big cloud between Bob, the user, and the connection server. In this case, let's say the cloud is the internet. Well, from a security perspective, we really don't want to have the connection server, which is a member of the domain. We do not want to expose that directly to the internet. So what we could do is we could implement yet another server. We could put it right here in the middle, and it's called a security server. And with the security server in place, our clients would then connect to the security server, and then in turn, our security server would have a secure channel between itself and the connection server, and that would allow us to protect all of the communications from our clients who are connecting to us over the internet by injecting this additional security server. Now, a couple of guidelines for this security server. It should be hardened Windows computers, and there's tons of hardening guides at VMware and Microsoft regarding what to turn off and what to set up as far as hardening a server. And it should not be, this security server should not be a member of the domain. We don't want to expose that as well to the internet. And then on this security server, we're going to install the connection server software. And you might be saying, well, Keith, wait a sec. I thought we installed the connection server software on the connection server. And the answer is we did. We're going to install that same software over here on the security server. However, as part of the install, there's a drop down that says, what do you want to install? The View connection server, the View replica server, or the View security server. And if we choose the replica server, that's just like a backup version of the connection server. So in the event that one connection server fails, if we have a second replica connection server, we don't have a single point of failure. But for our discussion, we want to focus on the security option. And then during the install, once we select security server, the security server is going to ask us, what is the address of the connection server that I'm supposed to be working with? And during that pairing process, it's going to ask us on the install of the security server, it's going to ask us for a password. And this password is used to help prevent just anybody from installing a security server and having it automatically associate itself with the connection server. So during the install of that security server, you and I are going to take just a moment, hop over to the connection server and set up that password. And that password will allow the pairing between that security server and the connection server. And then once it's in place, we just have our clients connect to the security server, who then in turn passes over those connections to the connection server over a secure path. So here's what you and I get to do. I've got yet another virtual machine that's set up as a server. It is not a member of a domain. We'll install the connection server software, but select the security option as we do the install, and then we'll pair it up in combination with our existing connection server at .115. So here on this new server, it is not a member of the domain. It's in a workgroup called Workgroup, and the name of this server is SEC-server, or if you say it fast, it kind of sounds like sex server. In any event, this is going to be the server that's going to act as our security server. And it has a couple of interfaces. One is on the 192.168.1 subnet, and one is on the 10.4.4 subnet. And the last octet is 119 in both cases. And in a production network, one of these interfaces would be facing towards the untrusted network, and the other interface would be facing our internal network. And we also could have a firewall, for example, in between the internet and the security server, which is going to be right here. And on the inside, we'd have our connection server, and they would establish a nice secure path between them. And then as Bob connects in, he would connect to the security server. So the traffic would be protected from Bob to the security server, as well as being protected between the security server and the connection server. So our next step is to install the connection server software. And it's during the install where we're going to specify that we want this to be a security server. So we'll click on Next. We'll agree to the terms, click on Next. We'll accept the default folder, click on Next. And if this was our first connection server, we'd use this option. If we wanted a backup to our standard connection server, we could choose replica server. And then during the install, it would ask us for the address of the connection server, and they would synchronize their databases, and we could use it for fault tolerance. However, in this case, we want to use it as a security server. So choosing this third option, and then clicking on Next, it then says, okay, I need to know, says the security server, I need to know how to reach the connection server I'm supposed to be associated with. And this will accept either a DNS resolvable name or an IP address. Now on this server, I currently don't have it set up to participate and use the common DNS server. So I'm going to put in the IP address of our connection server. That's at 10.4.4.115. And I'll click on Next. And now it's asking for a password. And this is to make sure that not just anybody can install a security server and connect into our connection server. So the question is, what password do we use? And the answer to that question is we are going to use the password that we configured in the View Administrator under Servers. We'll select the connection server, go to More Commands, and that's where we're going to set up the security server pairing password. So we need to pause this install just for a moment. That's my pause indicator. And let's jump over in Horizon View Administrator and set up a pairing password. So here in Horizon View Administrator, we'll go under View Configuration and to Servers. And here we have our vCenter servers, security servers, and there's none in the list yet, and connection servers. And it's under connection servers where we're going to specify the password so we can add in the security server to work with that connection server. And to do that, with the connection server selected, we're going to click on More Commands. And then from the drop-down, we're going to select Specify Security Server Pairing Password. And it's going to ask us, what is the password that can be entered on a security server to have it automatically associate with this connection server? So we'll put in a password, and then we'll confirm it. And then we're going to specify how long this password is good for. So by default, it's 30 minutes, but we could change that if we wanted to. 30 minutes will be more than enough time for us to put that password in and have it connect. So we'll leave it at 30 minutes and click on OK. So now that we've set up that pairing password, let's go back to the install on the security server. So back here at the security server, we'll put in that same password. We'll click on Next. And then it's prompting us for the external URLs that our clients will be using to connect to the security server. So this external URL should be resolvable by the clients on the outside. This PC over IP external URL IP address should be reachable from the outside. And for HTML access, this name should also be resolvable again from the outside. So if we had clients that were connecting out from the internet without using any other types of VPNs, these names and IP addresses would all either be or resolve to be globally reachable addresses. So we'll click on Next. It gives us the option of configuring the Windows Firewall automatically with all these ports involved, or do not configure Windows Firewall. I'm going to specify that I want to let it do it and click on Next. It's going to install the connection server software in the following folder, and we'll click on Install. And even though it says it's installing the connection server software, because we chose the option for security server, that's indeed what's installing. It's done, so we'll go ahead and click on Finish. And now if we go back to Horizon View Administrator, we'll be able to see this security server from the Horizon View Administrator. So now here in View Administrator, if we go under Inventory, under View Configuration, and go to Servers, here on this tab on the right we have our connection servers, on the far left we have our vCenter servers, and now on this second tab we have our security servers. And there's our security server that we just installed. If we want to edit the details, it's a simple click of the Edit button. And here if we wanted to change or modify any of the URLs, we could do that as well. So for example, in my lab, all my clients are connected on the 10.4.4 subnet. So if I want to give an address that's reachable, like 10.4.4.119, which is the IP address of this security server, my clients, without reconfiguring my lab, can hit that address. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OK to save that. And now let's go to a client PC and connect to our security server. So now I'm here at Bob's computer. We're going to open up the VMware View Horizon client. Currently we have the connection server as one of our servers. To add a new server that we want to connect to, in this case our security server, we'll simply click on New Server. And I'm going to put in 10.4.4.119, which is the IP address of our security server that we just installed. And again, if it was DNS resolvable, we could just put in the DNS resolvable name, and that would connect us as well. And we'll click on Connect. So you'll notice up here, we're going to 10.4.4.119. The little X there is because the security server is also using a self-signed certificate. So now, going through the security server, we have our application pools, as well as our desktop pools that are available through that connection server. And from this point, the user experience is just the same as if they were directly connected to the connection server itself. So as an example, if we disconnect from the security server, and we'll confirm that, and we connect back to our connection server, you'll notice that we have the exact same resources available to us based on what we're entitled to use as part of Horizon View. In this nugget, we have discussed and demonstrated how we can improve our security when communicating over untrusted networks like the internet by using a security server with Horizon View. I have had a lot of fun in this nugget. I'm glad that you joined me for it. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.